What's the deal with all these Souls-likes?
Hey, it's Vegas, and I just beat Elden Ring. Thank you. Yes, ladies, one at a time, please. And in my travels, I've heard tell of gamers comparing Elden Ring to Breath of the Wild, Elden Ring to Dragon's Dogma. But what about the other way around? What about comparing other games to Dark Souls? More specifically, Souls-likes. Now, what is a Souls-like, you ask? I'll tell you, thank you for asking.
A Souls-like refers to the video game series Dark Souls, being used in comparison to a game having an emphasis on environmental storytelling and high levels of difficulty. In other words, if a video game has difficult boss fights, Souls-like. If it has a dodge button, Souls-like. If it has an attack button, Souls-like. You can't have a video game with an emphasis on combat come out nowadays without it being compared to Bloodborne or Sekiro, which is fine and all, but I can see how in casual conversation, a game's difficulty always being brought back to a series of games that don't really have anything to do with each other can get a bit annoying. One of the first games I remember being categorized as Souls-like was Assassin's Creed Origins. Now, Black Flag marked the beginning of my disinterest in the Assassin's Creed franchise, and by the time Origins released, I was a freshman in high school, so the novelty of playing as cool guy in hood running around shaking people with his hidden knife wore off when I gained some maturity. However, I remember Origins causing an uproar because its combat was being compared to Dark Souls. Now, the series up until that point wasn't really known for its combat. Most of the time, it revolved around wait, block, counterattack, wait, block, counterattack, wait, block, counterattack. So when Origins came out swinging with its get good mentality, giving enemies a moveset and a health bar, you can imagine the uproar.
Oh, this is like Dark Souls. Hey, is this Souls inspired? Yo, Dark Soul?
There's no doubt this breathed new life into the franchise, because from what I've heard, the combat in Assassin's Creed has only gotten better and better with each subsequent entry, with it all culminating into Valhalla.
Let me know if I should get back into the Assassin's Creed franchise in the comments, man. It's been like 10 years since I played one.
Surprisingly, a lot of games' combat remind people of Souls. Games like The Witcher have been compared to Souls. While it's obviously a more story-driven game, that aspect lends to making its combat feel unique, with Geralt's constant pirouettes and elegant sword strikes combined with graceful hand signs feeling like it's ripped straight off the page of Sapkowski's novel. Playing as an unstoppable trained monster killer has never felt better than in that game. It also helps to have a scary gallery of creatures to fight, all with detailed lore entries in the bestiary. A game that I feel perfected that style of artful swordplay was Sucker Punch's Ghost of Tsushima. Combat never felt more fluid in any game until the first time I shared a standoff with a Mongol trespasser and annihilated him like it was a fucking Kurosawa film.
Yeah, get fucked, bitch!
I don't know, man, I just feel like Ghost never really got the praise it deserved for how well it used the PS4's button layouts to make you feel like a rogue samurai. Like, look at this shit. They used the triangle button for the spear stance. Because the tip of a spear looks like a triangle? See, well, in order for the combat not to feel like you're just mashing square to win, Sucker Punch added enemy types that use different weapons that require different stances to effectively beat in a 5v1. Like, what the fuck? Nazi Mongols, fuck off! And I haven't even talked about the primo tells the enemies have before they attack, making blocking and parrying feel infinitely more badass. Sure, all you have to do is press L1, but progress down the sword fighting skill tree and you can unlock a perfect parry, which will allow for more forgiving parry timing. Nioh, perhaps the closest to a Souls-like by definition, still uses unique mechanics like elemental spirit summons, sword stances, and most importantly, Twilight missions. Reusing a map you've been through before, but upscaling the enemy levels for more valuable loot and XP. Plus, they added a whole new mechanic that lets you duplicate how a piece of armor looks. Team Ninja knows the real reason we play FromSoft games. It's for the fashion Souls, baby! Nioh is one of those games that take inspiration from Souls in more ways than one. Its fairly difficult boss fights are still some of my favorite in the genre, and that's no surprise considering my favorite anime is Samurai Champloo.
Seems death won't stop chasing me.
Like an angel, a samurai sword, the mental blade cut flesh and bone, no more minds at peace, the world out of order, listen and the heat, life gets colder. Oh yes, I have to find my path, no less walk on earth, water and fire. The elements compose Amanda, opens my motor, so run is bound.
Boss fights and designs are perhaps another thing that might lend one to believe a game is Souls-inspired. Monster Hunter is built around the entire concept of a boss fight. All you do in those games is take a contract, go out, and, well, hunt monsters. I still don't understand the title of the game. But the monsters in these games are some of the best you'll ever encounter. Giant quadrupedal wyverns that demand the utmost of vigilance to conquer, all the way to farmable low-level beasts that allow you to sit back, relax, have a drink.
Oh look, he's trying to eat me.
And there's a wide variety of weapon types with their own movesets fit for the player to experiment and find what weapon suits them the best. Unwieldy katanas and buster swords, hammers and lances, fucking guns. Another game built on boss fights is Shadow of the Colossus. It boasts 16 unique boss designs that are more set piece than enemy, in the best way possible. But I wouldn't consider it a Souls-like on the fact that it's just more or less a boss rush game. Weirdly, you're able to freely attack, but there's no enemies in the world to fight aside from the occasional hapless lizard. The game's creator Fumito Ueda has labeled this as a creative choice, since the whole game takes place in a forbidden, forgotten land where, due to the evil that resides there, life, at least organic life, refuses to exist. Jesus, just by that world building, I'm inclined to label this a Souls-like. Shadow of the Colossus is a game that doesn't tell you much, it just lets you figure it out on your own, which is the shit I miss from modern games. Learning curve is a big part of making a game difficult, and we mustn't forget about the legacy games that basically birthed the genre. Kingsfield, Rogue, fucking Zelda, coming out in a time when the term Souls-like didn't even exist. These games created the mechanics we've come to expect from Souls games nowadays. 1980s Rogue even has its own offshoot subgenre of video game called roguelikes, again with these confusing names. What the Rogue infamously created the mechanic of every time you die, you permanently die, and have to be brought back to the very beginning of the game. Spiritual successors like Hades and Darkest Dungeon utilize dungeon crawling through procedurally generated levels with grid-based movement, you know, up, down, left, right. Roguelikes, at least for me, require a level of patience and perseverance and, I'm gonna say it, masochism that you can't find in any other game genre. You need a complete understanding of the game's mechanics and level design only gained from constant repetition. And even a run of the game where everything is going your way at first can be ended instantly by pure RNG, literally just dumb luck on the game's behalf. A genre that always seems to be paired together with roguelikes are Metroidvanias, in which you play on a 2D plane collecting items and abilities to unlock new areas of the map. In, more often than not, 8-bit graphics reminiscent of Super Metroid or Castlevania. Okay, this one makes sense. Now, I haven't played many games in this genre, but from what I've heard, there's a surprising amount of depth inside them that make me excited to jump in, but if games like Hollow Knight are the standard, I'm scared. Combine the mechanics of both roguelikes and Metroidvanias, however, and you get Dead Cells. Sounds familiar? Another game that I feel doesn't get enough praise. You see, while the Souls craze was midway through its rampage on humanity and midway through my bank account back in 2017, I picked up this game and couldn't put it down. I brought my Nintendo Switch to school and risked being outed as a gamer just so I could grind loot, get to the next level, beat the next boss. Oh, fuck. Mr. Vegas, can you put the tablet away?
Shut the fuck up, Mr. Johnson. This is why you're twice divorced.
Dead Cells uses its cute in an ugly way art style and clever writing to just sink its 8-bit fangs in you. Forrest Gump would fucking love this game because in every playthrough you truly never know what you're gonna get. You could have a sword and shield for one playthrough, have a pretty strong build utilizing the perfect concoction of items, slip up during a boss fight and die and never see those same weapons in the next playthrough, forcing you to adapt to your surroundings and become super resourceful with the items that you happen upon in that specific run. But since it's a Metroidvania, the things you collect in previous runs stay with you throughout the game. Once you've collected enough souls, cells, you can spend it on whatever schematics you want to be thrown into the game. Weapon blueprints, skills, and key items that unlock new zones on the map are directly related to how far you get into the game without dying, rewarding perfect play with just that little bit of extra slack on the line that'll make getting to the end exponentially easier.
I think, no, in fact, I'm sure that this is the reason me and so many others like Souls games so much.
That feeling of getting good, learning, and overcoming that seemingly insurmountable obstacle. There's no doubt that the comparison of Souls gets thrown at any game with any sort of difficulty whatsoever very haphazardly. But I think it's great that at the very least, it sparks discussion in the gaming community. All in all, is it bad to compare a game to Souls? No, who cares? Fuck labels. I want the big takeaway from this video to be what makes these games unique in their own way and not just a Souls clone. But hey, Dark Souls is the standard for a reason, and if you got a problem with that, blame it on Miyazaki. He's standing right behind me, isn't he?